Ryan Garcia exposes his biggest flaw, his biggest mistake going into the Gervonta Tank Davis fight. He says that he's now so well informed about the sport of boxing. He basically has the sport on lockdown in terms of an understanding of how the fight game works, how to take deals, what to make of, what's presented to you in a negotiation, what to take from that, and how to move forward. So, to be specific, Ryan Garcia is referred to the fact that Gervonta Davis implemented a catch weight. We all know that, right? We know that he implemented the 136-pound catch weight. So we know that Tank didn't want to fight Devin Haney, recently at 140. He's going to bring him down to, something like 36. And we know that we're not going to see Devin Haney anywhere near lightweight. The closest I think that we'll see Devin Haney to lightweight is at 140. He's even talked about plans to go up to 47, potentially even in his next fight after Ryan Garcia, assuming he beats Ryan, which many and most of us expect him to do. But, before that all goes down, Ryan talked about how going into that fight, he should have never taken that fight under the terms because of, rehydration clauses and the catch weight. It just handicapped him a little bit too much to the point where it's like you're guaranteed to lose. Like, he's basically saying any fighter could have beaten me under those terms. It's basically like making him fight with one arm tied behind his back, depleting him to 136-pound catch weight, and the rehydration clause only allowing him to rehydrate 10 pounds, over what he initially weighed in on weigh-in day. So that all, not being able to rehydrate, to your main desire, to your fullest capability, is something that affects your performance. I really do think that affects how you show up, how your brain's thinking, your punch resistance on fight night. I think it's the same thing with Errol Spence Jr. I'm not saying these guys, if Spence fought at 54 against Crawford, I'm not saying the outcome would have been different. I still think that Terrence Crawford, probably has the edge. Same here with Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. That fight should have taken place just at 140, but there's that element of, Tank's a small guy. He's a natural 35er, and that element of giving an edge to Ryan Garcia in weight where he's already the taller guy. He's already gotten the longer reach. You want to take away as much as you can. So it's ultimately kind of like creating an even playing field, but not really by taking something away. So is it an even playing field? That's ultimately what it comes down to. But Ryan Garcia talked about how he's learned so much from that. He learned so much from the fact that, Gervonta Davis and his team kind of played him. They knew that Ryan Garcia really wanted to make that fight and was willing to do whatever it took. Ryan Garcia was the one who made that Tank fight happen. It wasn't Tank. Tank made the fight happen under his terms. He got what he wanted. Ryan Garcia didn't get what he wanted. When there's two fighters that are equally, as equally big draws, and they both have the same amount of star power. I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about star appeal, pure star appeal. And Ryan Garcia and Tank have that same level of star appeal. The one who takes the shorter end of the stick, the worst end of the deal, is ultimately the one that makes the fight happen. Because who's the one, bowing their head down and saying, okay, that's fine. I'll take whatever terms you want. I'll take the rehydration clause. I'll take the catch weight, but let's make the fight happen. That was Ryan Garcia. That wasn't Tank, sacrificing that. So there's something to be said about that. Ryan doesn't agree to those two terms. You never get Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia part one. And no matter what people say, I give credit to Ryan Garcia, more credit to Ryan Garcia for making that Tank fight than I do to Tank. Now, I give all the credit in the world to Tank for performing on that night. He was the better fighter on that night. But at what cost? You had to take something away. It's not going to be possible to always take something away. He might be able to do it to Shakur, though, because we hear about Shakur Stevenson talking about how if Tank, gives me that call, I'm going to answer. I'm going to agree to his terms because he's the star. And in Shakur's eyes, when he said that, he's very aware of the star appeal that is brought to a Tank Davis fight. I don't know if that's changed, today. Maybe he doesn't feel the same way anymore. But bottom line, that's ultimately how he feels. But to hear Ryan Garcia talk about how he's learned so much just based off that one negotiation in the sport where he feels like he knows it all now, that goes to show how wrong he felt like Gervonta's team did him. They did him wrong. Ultimately they took everything away from him. They gave him his money. Don't get me wrong. He walked out of there with $20+ million. So a win. That's a win in itself. But in terms of the reputation, the stock rising from that fight, obviously Ryan Garcia didn't get the outcome he wanted, because not saying that the weight, if the weight was 140, that Ryan would have won. I don't think that. I think Tank still would have won, but there's still always going to be that talk about the rehydration clause, no matter what, and the catch weight. Why did you have to put a catch weight on a guy you're so confident you were going to beat? If you're Tank Davis, you heard him talk about how Ryan Garcia should quit boxing, Ryan Garcia should do this and that, but ultimately, if you really feel that way, that it's so one-sided, why would you go out of your way with your team to make a catch weight? Why would you go out of your way to make that rehydration clause? Because ultimately, you see his size, at least his size. If you don't see his boxing ability as a threat, you see his size as a threat, to hand you your first loss. And I think that's ultimately what went down. Whether or not Tank thought it himself, the people around him probably thought it. That's why Tank implemented that rehydration clause in the first place. But here against Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia doesn't have to deal with that. So it's a plus, but also he has no excuse but to perform on fight night. There are no more excuses about, oh, I felt depleted, I felt this and that. No, you can't say that anymore, because I'm not saying it was an excuse, because I genuinely think, Ryan Garcia moved up to 140 for a reason, then gets dragged back down to 36 to fight Tank to make a big fight happen, and he deserves respect for that. But against Devin, he can't say any of that stuff. So that's why it's an interesting fight come April 20th, because neither guy has excuses. Neither guy likes making weight. Neither guy wants to even cut to 140, let alone 35, but they're going to do 40 because it's manageable, it's feasible. But bottom line is there's no excuses for either guy. And I think that, I lean towards Devin Haney. I give Devin Haney probably 80%. Not to be a hater on Ryan Garcia, if you look at the fight on paper, undefeated versus a guy with a loss. We've seen Ryan Garcia at his most vulnerable, and we've seen Devin at his most vulnerable. But bottom line, Devin hasn't lost, but he's also hasn't faced Tank. So if Devin had faced Tank before this Garcia fight happened, would he have won that fight? You can't live in the what if. So this is how we find out. We find out between Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney fighting on April 20th, who's that guy between them, because styles make fights ultimately. I think the stylistic matchup favors Devin Haney tremendously, but I still give Ryan Garcia all the credit in the world because I'm a fan of his. I just think this is a difficult stylistic matchup as opposed to the Rolly Romero fight. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Ryan Garcia talking about, the catch weight, everything he had to accept to make the Tank Davis fight happen. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, but I'm excited. I'm pumped for April 20th. We got the press conference between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney going down in New York. I will be, posted. I will be at that event, and it'll be a good time, here in New York. So we'll check that one out, keep you guys updated. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Have a great day. That's going to do it for another NASFight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.